We're officially live with 100 pounds to freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to the podcast.
5 years ago, Kylie's 20-year marriage ended in heartbreak. She was 55 kg overweight, emotionally wrecked, living on sugar, coffee by day and wine by night. Now bear in mind, this was a woman who was a personal trainer. She owned 13 gyms, had a first-time black belt in Taekwondo, yet she still put on 55 kg. Kylie hit breaking point when she turned 50. She said that she felt 70 years old, everything hurt and nothing fit, and she was drowning in exhaustion and shame. So she drew a line in the sand. Enough is enough. And today she's sober, stronger, 28 kilos lighter, and on a soul-led journey, ready to share her story of how she finally stopped starting over and transformed her body, brain, and business. Now, just a little warning for you here, okay? This chick is completely out of the gate. Her energy, her love for her kids, and passion to help burnt out women 10x their business by doing less, ditching the stress, and reclaim their lives will both inspire you and entertain you. This is 100 pounds to freedom.
We're officially live with 100 pounds to freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to the podcast. This is actually the pre-ramble. I'm here with the amazing, the incomparable, the business coach, maybe not to the stars, but to a lot of people that need a lot of fucking help. Kick-ass Kylie, welcome.
Whoop, whoop. Thanks, legend. Honored to be here. I was just thinking it's the K-team. Kevin and Kylie.
It is the K-team. K-team all day. Kylie, take me back, first of all. Let's touch on your childhood. Were you like a little chubby kid like I know I was? I was a little, Mum used to come up and like grab my cheeks, give me little chubby cheeks, you know? And I would hate, like I would cringe and I'd hate it. Were you a fat kid or did it happen later in life?
Yeah, it's funny you should have said that because if you'd have asked the 5-year-old or the 10-year-old version of me, I would have said, yeah, I was the fat kid. But then I look at photos and I was just like a normal kid. But I remember I had the cheeky thing too with the grandparents. But I remember, and I think I was in grade 4, so I was probably maybe 10. And I remember I was sitting with these 2 girls who I was friends with in the playground. And like, I was not an overweight kid at all. I was very active. And I remember them saying, you know, you're fat. And I remember us all comparing our stomachs and we were giving ourselves a score out of 10. And I'd forgotten about this. And I go back and I think, holy crap, like I said that, like they all said that I had a 10 out of 10 stomach. And I just remember in that moment, I was just like, I'm fat. And it really carried through. I wasn't fat on the outside, but I felt like I was fat on the inside, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so there was something sown there early on.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yes. Wow. And look, growing up, you know, I had a mum who loved to bake. So, you know, we didn't exactly, we ate normal food, but, you know, it wasn't the food that I eat now. There was plenty of cakes and cookies and, you know, we're all brought up on toast or cereal and milk for breakfast and, you know, all that stuff just, you know, it bloats me and makes me sick. But, you know, you know, you didn't know what you didn't know back then. You know, that's just what was put on your plate. So that's what you ate, right?
Yeah, 100%. Did you have the type of mum or the type of parents that said, hey, listen, you need to finish everything on your plate?
Oh, yeah. There's people starving in Africa, you know. And we would sit there and have to eat absolutely freaking everything until that plate was clear.
Yeah. I remember excusing myself from the table. There were, like, I'll eat, I'm not fussy at all. I'm not celiac or, you know, have to eat gluten-free or anything like that. Yep. And there was only one thing I didn't like, which was Brussels sprouts. And I clearly remember being...
the Brussels sprouts!
I remember being at the table and like maybe, like Mum was a good cook, but they were both working, they were busy. Yeah. Maybe if they were cooked a little different, I'm yet to taste an amazing Brussels sprout.
We've all got a horror Brussels sprout story, right?
Dude, I would say I've got to go to the toilet, my mouth full, and just spit it out the toilet window, and that's how I finish my plate. Yeah.
That's funny.
Kylie, you own 13 gyms, okay?
Yeah.
not a lot of people have owned 13 gyms before. And for the audience, most people watching might think, okay, well, you own 30 gyms. You clearly know what you're doing. You clearly know a lot about the body, the mechanics, weight loss, calories in, calories out, that sort of thing. How the hell did you own 13 gyms and then manage to put on 55 kilos?
55 kilos. I
Yeah.
know, right?
So tell me, so first of all, break down, how did you get into the gym space? Did you study personal training? Were you a personal trainer first?
Actually, no, I wasn't. Ironically, I bought a gym and then became a personal trainer. Look, I've had a yo-yo journey with my own weight most of my life. So my first love, I moved in with him, and he could eat. The whole family, they were big eaters, and so I went from eating, I guess what I would have called normal food, to probably eating 3 times the amount of food, working in a job where I was sitting down because I was a travel consultant, and then I ended up corporate HR type roles. So I'd stopped the exercise. I'm now sitting on my butt all day and eating way more food. So there's only one way that that's going to go. And so, yeah, that was kind of the beginning. So then he proposed. So I thought, crap, I better, ditch the weight. And so through my own journey, I found the gym and I found aerobics. So a little backstory, and I don't know if you even know this about me and how I got my name Kick-Ass Kylie. I used to be a black belt first dan Taekwondo instructor.
No way.
Yeah, so I did that when I was 17. So like as a youngster, I was super fit, crazy fit, but I'd never been to a gym. And so here I was on my weight loss journey to get married, and found the gym, fell in love with group fitness. And ironically, the gym owner was called Kevin. And anyway, I turned up for a
these
class.
synchronicities coming here. Yeah.
I know. So I turned up for a class one day and the instructor didn't turn up. So it was like about 20 of us ladies. And the gym owner, Kevin, came up to me. And of course, I talked to everyone. So he knew that my background was martial arts. And he said, "Cos, I've got no one to take this class. I've either got to cancel it, or do you want to take it?" And of course, I used to do Oz style aerobics in the morning. So I'm like, sure. Have you got some music?
Got this.
Made up this class on the spot. Certainly wasn't perfect timing, and the queuing was probably a crazy nightmare. But you know what? All of those ladies, they laughed, they had fun, and they got a workout. And at the end of the class, they all begged me to come back. So the owner said, "Well, it's your class if you want it." So literally, that's how I became a group fitness instructor. From that moment on, I started to learn about weight training, which I fell in love with. And then, yeah, that was my dream, to own a gym. So managed a gym first, then bought my first club, then basically, applied all of what I teach now as a business coach, systemized everything. And then, so that took me 5 years to get that club to where it needed to be. And then I literally went from 1 to 13 gyms in 3.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a ramp up. So basically you had the template, you had everything ironed out, system processes, and then multiplication. Yeah. So the first gym was in Australia. What state? Like?
Yeah, almost. So halfway between Brisbane and the Gold Coast in Queensland.
Okay. Yeah. And the rest were in Queensland, or?
Queensland and New South Wales. So southeast Queensland and then northeast New South Wales. Yeah.
Amazing. Did you start to put on the weight while you had the gyms, or was it after selling them?
Yeah, so I put on a little. So when I started to franchise my gyms, that's when I started to have kids. So I did put on weight with my first baby, but I got most of that back off. One of the things as a trainer I used to get so frustrated about was when doctors told women who were pregnant to stop training. And it was one of my pet hates. So when I gave birth to my daughter, which was in August, I then decided, right, I'm going to do the Gold Coast Marathon. So literally she was on the stage, 6 days old, when I took my first class back at the gym. She's like starfish on the stage. I know, crazy.
That's serious.
And, just got straight into training. So it was, that was the August, the Gold Coast Marathon was in the July. And so I figured that would be the best way to, show women what they need to do. And yes, I ran my first marathon 11 months after she was born.
Wow.
So then after that, I had my second child, my son, Zach. And that's when I really put on a lot of weight. He was a big baby. I struggled with that pregnancy physically and was pretty much told I couldn't train, which went against everything, but I was just exhausted. There were lots of challenges. He was such a big baby. And
this is the Scorpio, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was my Scorpio, the same birthday as you. He was the troublemaker. The first one was a breeze. The second one, oh my goodness. He slowed me down. He was my handbrake.
I have no affiliation with him whatsoever, other than being born on the same actual date. Yeah. Okay.
Oh so I did put on some weight. I then got back into training, and then it wasn't long after that is when, I had one of those life-changing moments. I think we're actually opening gym number 13, and I was a workaholic, I was up at 5 a.m. I was attached to my phone and my laptop all day, worked around the clock, had a full-time nanny to look after the kids. And I knew I was going to pull an all-nighter because we're about to open this club. And my daughter, she was 6 at the time, she came to my desk and said, Mummy, I've got a surprise for you. And of course I'm like, I really don't have time for this, but okay. So she grabbed my hand and led me into the bedroom, and she had laid out this carpet picnic. So she had this rug with all of these toys, favorite books, snacks. She'd chopped up carrot sticks and cheese and crackers, and she had drinks. She made her baby brother a bottle. She just and I was just my heart sank because I'm thinking, crap, she just wants a mum, and I've got this stuff that I have to get done, and this isn't going to be a 5-minute thing. So I sat down and I probably spent about 20 minutes, and I went to get up to leave, and she has these beautiful crystal blue eyes, and I just remember that look. It was like a knife through my heart, and she's just got tears streaming down her face. And she just said, Mummy, all you ever do is work. You're always on your laptop. You're always on the phone. And she said, when are we going to get the fun, Mum? And when are we going to go on holidays? And I literally just dropped to my knees sobbing and hugged her. And I realized in that moment I had to change. I had to make a decision. And that wasn't about the health stuff, although it was. That was about I actually had to put my family first and make the business work for me instead of me being a slave to my business. And really that's when everything in my life shifted, thanks to my 6-year-old daughter. And so in that moment, I made the decision I was going to sell the clubs, get out of the fitness industry. I didn't know how, but I wanted to travel full time. I love Julia Roberts. I watched the movie Eat, Pray, Love, and I was going to have the Eat, Pray, Love, go live in Bali for 6 months and fall back in love with my life, my family and me.
Oh, wow. That hit me. Yeah, out of the mouths of babes, right? Our kids
Absolutely.
Can just really sometimes stop us dead in our tracks. Yeah,
they can. And look, that was I was 39 at that point, and so then when I exited the fitness industry, it was like I just decided to rebel against every single thing that I knew. It was all about travel, party, life, do whatever the fuck you want. Sorry for swearing. I hope that's okay.
You're fine, mate. You're fine. It won't be the first and it won't be the last.
Yeah, cool. And really that was it. It was just no exercise, eating lots of food that didn't serve me, and plenty of alcohol. And really, the alcohol is the killer because you're drowning everything out. You're not listening to your body, and your body's asking for different things that don't serve you when it's masked with the alcohol. And so it would be very easy for me to drink a couple of bottles of wine a night. I was very functional. I don't know if I'd call myself an alcoholic, but I was certainly drinking a lot of alcohol that didn't serve me.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute. First of all, I think you would be a whole bunch of fun on the piss. Yeah, because it'll be your personality.
Oh, yeah.
10x, yeah.
10x the fun.
100%.
Confident with no inhibitions anyway. So imagine add the alcohol. Oh my goodness, crazy.
Yeah.
Most embarrassing mum in the world, apparently.
Yeah, I think I was in denial for years. I didn't think I had a problem, per se at all. Weekend warrior.
Yeah.
But when it comes to dropping weight, when it comes to really dialing in your health, last year, and I thought, gee, I'm not even going to do this. What's the point? I had some friends who were doing 100 days alcohol free, 100 days off the piss, right?
Oh.
And so I kind of asked them, what do you do afterwards? Oh, we get on the piss and celebrate. And I'm like,
Right. It's
What's-
so crazy.
what's the point? Wouldn't you just rather, have less or whatever?
Yep,
Anyway, they were 7 days into it, and a very good friend of mine who's amazing flamenco guitarist, guitar Luther,
Yeah.
real kind of Zen guy. He came into the studio and he was like glowing. It was almost like he floated on a cloud through the door, rolled up and went, hey. And it was like angelic. And I said, dude, what is going on with you? And he goes, oh man, I'm 7 days clean, off the alcohol. And I went, dude, I want what you've got. And that was it. I started then and did 100 days. So I was kind of like a week behind the boys.
Yeah.
But within 3 weeks, the first week or two was a little hard, and I developed a little bit of a bad pattern with, drinking a couple of whiskeys if things got stressful around 4 p.m., which I'd never used to do. Anyway, around the 3 week mark, my focus and my clarity, it became like a superpower.
Yeah.
And I was able to lock in the gym and routine. And I thought I kind of had routine before, but it was nothing like this. So
Yeah. It's next level, right?
It's a game changer, Kylie.
Yeah. Massive.
Absolute game changer. Yeah, cool. Okay, so you did that. You had the holiday, the lifestyle, the freedom, all the rest of it, this new zest on life, but you were getting on the piss.
Yeah.
Is that
Eating
when you
shit.
that's when you gained the weight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was basically alcohol, eating crap, like lots of takeaway, lots of dining out, and lots of sugar, like just all of the wrong things, hardly any fruit or veggies, and not exercising. So you put all that combination together,
Yeah.
there's only one thing that's going to happen.
How long did it take? How long did it ramp up? So you sold the gyms. Do you remember roughly, are you comfortable sharing your weight when you sold before you gained the weight? Like,
So I can't remember what it was when I finished in the gyms, but I know that once I hit my biggest, I was 123 kilos.
wow.
So yeah, that 123 and a half kilos actually.
You are,
and
for
that
context,
was-
how tall are you for context?
168 centimeters.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I was big. I couldn't buy clothes from normal dress stores. Like, I had to go shop in the big section with the nana clothes that were just, bleh.
Yeah.
And I remember that defining moment, my heaviest, when you realize, I can't do this anymore. Ironically, it was on your birthday. It was my son's birthday, 2019.
There's a whole theme going on here at
It's a
Scorpio
whole
theme.
theme, I know, right? And I just remember looking in the mirror, just thinking, like, so disgusted in how I looked and just so puffy. And so I thought, right, I'm going to go for a walk now. And like literally where I lived at the time was in Port Macquarie. It was like a kilometre to this beautiful lookout where you could look out over the ocean and see the whales. It was like a whale highway back and forth. And not at that time of the year though. And I went to put on my tights, and I was puffing and out of breath just trying to get into them because they were so freaking tight. And then I went to like put my shoes on, and I had to sit down, and it was a struggle because my belly was so big. It was hard work just tying up my laces. And by the time I got ready to go for the walk, I was fucking exhausted. And I'm out of breath, like I'm puffing. And that was that first moment where I just went, oh, fuck. Like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Like, look at you. You can't even get dressed. Like, I was so mad at myself. I was so disappointed. I was like angry. I was upset. And yeah, I just went, right, today is a new day. And in that moment, I actually had a girlfriend who was about to start a 30-day program with, you know, one of the amazing companies out there that run 30-day programs. And so I actually decided, right, I'm going to ditch the alcohol for 30 days. I didn't commit to 100. I only committed to 30. So no alcohol for 30 days. I also decided to eat plant-based. So I'd never done that before, but I'd done a lot of research, obviously, with all my time in the health industry. And I'd seen so much evidence to show how powerful eating plant-based was. But I love meat. Like, I freaking loved meat. And so I couldn't even imagine, and being an O blood type, like, you know, we're the carnivore blood type. Like, if you look at the blood type diet, you know, meat, carnivore, like, that's who I am. And so I went, okay, I'm just going to give it 30 days. And I actually dropped 10 kilos. And I was just blown away. Oh, no, sorry, 6 kilos. I dropped 6 kilos. I'd never dropped 6 kilos in a month before. Like, to me, that was a game changer. I was like, wow, like, this is
eyes were opened. It was like a win. It was like, hey, something's happening.
Something's shifting in the right direction. Of course, still tired. Everything still hurt, still massively overweight, but at least I could see some results. I remember going to the beach and walking in the soft sand. And by the time I got from the car park to the water again, like, I was just out of breath, exhausted, just going, man, like, you just got to keep going. And so then I did it a second month, but I did reintroduce some meat, but only once or twice a week. And I reintroduced alcohol, but again, only once or twice a week, wasn't excessive. And I did drop another 4 kilos in my second month. So then I was now 10 kilos down and feeling like, okay, I'm starting to get there. But then I kind of hit a plateau, because what did I do? I brought back in the alcohol, and I brought back in the diet wasn't as bad. I didn't go back up, but I kind of just got stuck there. And we were actually moving up to beautiful Bribie Island. And so, you know, I was on a mission, right? New start, new chapter, you know, this is all exciting. And 2 months after I moved to Bribie is when my whole world fell apart. So my husband of 20 years left me for another woman, and it was when COVID hit. And so all of my clients literally cancelled overnight. So here I was, you know, and we'd spent like thousands of dollars in moving. Like, it was about a $12,000 move, and we'd paid out all of the debts. Very interesting, very strategic on someone's behalf. So I basically had $287 in my bank account, had no car because he took the car. I had, you know, 2 devastated kids, and COVID hit. So overnight I had no clients, no income. And I'm just like, freak universe, like, can you throw anything else at me? I just remember that defining moment, just going, well, I've hit rock bottom, so I guess there's only way from here, and that's got to be up, right? And so what I actually did as my coping mechanism was 2 things. So the first thing is I just walked. I walked and I walked and I freaking walked morning, noon and night. Anytime I felt like something wasn't going my way, I'd get out and walk some more. And I was listening to a lot of personal development, and I remember one of the books I listened to was The Power of Now. But the other thing that I did is I created 5 questions, and these 5 questions for me were a complete game changer, because I knew I had to stay in a place of love and abundance versus being in fear and scarcity. And so my 5 questions that kept me in the right mind space so I could be a mum and, you know, business woman, coach, and actually create an income and provide for my kids was, number 1, what can I be grateful for right now? Number 2, what's the blessing in this situation? Number 3, what's the lesson? Number 4, what can I be responsible for? And number 5, what's now possible because this has happened? And honestly, I would just walk and ask myself those 5 questions, and I would just be like rolling through just to keep my mind in a positive state. I never wanted to get into blame or hurt. I didn't want to be that angry ex-wife that slagged at, her ex. And I didn't want to do that because I wanted him to be in the kid's life. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but that was his choice. And so I was really focused on doing the walking, the 10,000 steps a day. I was only drinking wine maybe once or twice a week, so I really wasn't drinking a lot of wine either. My diet was better, certainly not what it is today, but, it was okay. And then beautiful friends of mine introduced me to the Kangen water filters. So I bought I call it the gazillion dollar water machine. And they were running a water fast. It was like a 3-day challenge. And it was the first time I'd even heard of water fasting. And it was, the incredible human that was kind of guiding us was David Avocado Wolf, who I just absolutely love and adore.
Yeah, David Wolf. Yeah. OG.
I know, right? And like the godfather of health. And so I thought, oh, well, what have I got to lose? I may as well give it a go. I didn't know how, I really thought I'd struggle. And the first day was the hardest. And then day 2, and I remember my friends just kept telling me, when you do this, Kyles, every time you feel hungry, just say to yourself, I'm not hungry, I'm just thirsty. I need to drink more water. I'm not hungry, I'm thirsty. I need to drink more water. And so that was my mantra. And so by day 3, I was feeling so freaking awesome and like clarity and energy through the roof. It was like I was euphoric, like I was on drugs or something. And I'm like, holy shit, like what is in this water? Like this is insane. And so I decided to keep going. And so I thought, well, bugger it. It's a 3-day water fast, but I'll see how far I can go. And I ended up breaking it after 5 days because my girlfriend was coming up for the weekend and I did all the wrong things. I didn't go into the fast the way that you should. I didn't come out of the fast the way that you should. I was straight into alcohol and eating and partying because, my girlfriend's up for the weekend. But I dropped 8 kilos in those 5 days and I learned so much about my body and my mindset. And that was a massive, aha moment for me after all of the years of being, a gym owner, a group fitness instructor, a personal trainer, a health coach, a weight loss coach, and, having so many people struggle to get results, yet so effortlessly, I've dropped 8 kilos in 5 days. I'm like, there's something in this.
Let's talk about fasting for a minute. I think I've experimented with fasting, done a number of 3-day and 7 days and one 12-day water fast. I think I had an unhealthy relationship with it, actually. I would be trying to lose weight. I'd be trying to work out at the gym and walk and eat healthy and all the rest of it. And I wouldn't be hitting my goals or I'd struggle because of the alcohol, so you'd have a free day or a cheat day Saturday because you got on the piss. You end up doing that Sunday and half a Monday, right?
Yeah.
And if I had like an overseas trip or like a family reunion or something like that, I would fast before it. And just like you lose kilos. I remember I did one a couple of years ago and lost 10 kilos. I think it was over 8 days or something like that.
Yeah.
And, it looked amazing. Like you lose 10 kilos in 8 or 9 days and there's just a massive difference the way clothes fits and
huge.
I sort of started using it as a hack. If I need to look good for this thing, I can keep doing what I'm doing because I can always fast. It's like a parachute.
Band-Aid.
And it was only earlier this year, I want to say maybe 8, 9 weeks ago, I did a 7-day water fast and again dropped weight. But this time it wasn't for that. This time it was for the autophagy, the cell regeneration, rid in the body of those
and how powerful
free radicals. It was amazing. So my refeeding, because refeeding, for those out there listening who don't know, refeeding protocol is super important.
Massive.
And typically by the second or third day, I'd be eating whatever, even drinking alcohol. This time I didn't. I went straight back into a really healthy routine.
Yeah, great.
And I only put back on like 2 kgs of water weight, which got lost, just because of the water or whatever.
Yeah.
And kept the remaining weight off. So first time ever out of, I don't know, maybe a dozen fasts that had happened.
That's so powerful. And look, I had a similar moment. So as you know, I turned 50 in March.
Yeah.
And I love birthdays. Like we don't
So
have
good.
a birthday. Usually it's a birth week, but it was my 50th. So I'm going for a birth month. So
Yeah.
the entire month was like back-to-back tag team of visitors, parties, events, adventures, experiences. And honestly, I just remember looking at the photos again. I wasn't back to my heaviest, nowhere near that point, but I was like, this is not where you want to be, Kyles. This is not good. I felt like crap again. Everything hurt again. And the other thing is I decided to relaunch my coaching business, and I was like everywhere on social media, and I hadn't signed up any clients. And I'm just like, I'm a freaking good coach. I've been a coach for 20 years. Like I used to just put up a post and I'd have 5 people refer people to me. Like what is going on? And I remembered back, if I looked back to my, 30 years of being an entrepreneur, whenever my health was right, that's when I was kicking ass in my business. And so that's when I decided, okay, I actually really, like you, I'm not doing this for an event. I have to make a life change. Like it's not a diet. It's a freaking decision of how am I actually going to consciously live the rest of my life, and not for other people. As a mum, their partner, you cook food for your kids and your partner that they're going to eat. I call it survival food, but that's not the food that nourishes my soul in the way that my body needs. So I actually was like, the first time I went, no, fuck it. I'm putting myself first, and I'm going to love me, and I'm going to do what my body wants. And so I, again, ditched the alcohol and decided to go vegan, because I knew that would, be a really good place to start, and actually come into this water fast in a really powerful way. I didn't know how long I was going to water fast for. I was just going to see how long I could go. I engaged a health coach who I've known for a long time, so that was incredible. And so, the first thing we got to do is ditch the poison. So it was just getting rid of the sugar, the coffee, the alcohol, the meat, all the stuff that I knew wasn't serving me. And then I actually did a juice fast for a day. So I think it was carrot, ginger, beetroot, and green apple juice for a whole day as I went into the fast. And I ended up doing 10 days of water fasting, and I dropped 10 kilos, and like you, felt amazing. Like I'd bought clothes that didn't fit me before the fast. 10 days later, I'm wearing them and they're loose, going, oh my God, look, I'm sexy as fuck.
I love that. I love that.
What is this?
I used to always buy one size too small as a goal. It's like, still haven't worn that. Yeah.
So powerful. So powerful.
Yeah.
But then like you, coming out of it, I went, okay, I'm going to do this properly. And my health coach took me on this thing called a rainbow chakra cleanse. So for every day you eat the color of the rainbow. So day 1 was the root chakra, which was red. And so I literally ate raspberries and it was so beautiful. It was like having an orgasm in your mouth, like the first raspberry, like you'd never, a raspberry-gasm.
Here first.
It's a thing. But you have to do the 10-day water fast first, or you're not going to have the raspberry-gasm. I love making up words, Kev. I can't help myself.
Raspberry-gasm. I love it.
I know. It's pretty cool. And then, so each day you eat that color, but what it has you do is it's almost like it reteaches you what foods are available. Like yellow day, frick, what do you eat? So you go to the fruit market and you walk around and you just pick everything that's yellow and then orange. And it made me get creative and experiment with cooking and fall in love with cooking again. And so now I eat this color, like my mission now with every single meal is how many colors of the rainbow can I put on my plate? And so it's really about just having these beautiful, meals that are so nutritious and colorful and light instead of that heavy, full, bloated feeling that I used to get. So it's amazing.
That variety would be amazing for your microbiome.
Oh,
yeah.
Honest. And so I didn't actually put weight back on. So normally when you finish a water fast, people put weight back on. But because of the way that I reintroduced food back into my body, I actually didn't put on any weight at all. I kept losing. I kept releasing. So then I did a second 30-day reset. So again, I did no alcohol, plant-based. I've only introduced a little bit of seafood, like a couple of times a week. So I'm still mainly plant-based, no alcohol. Look, winter, I struggle with drinking water. So I'm actually drinking a lot of herbal teas at the moment. But that was the other aha moment, is we don't drink enough water. Like, for anyone out there, you want to release weight and toxins from your body, just drink 5 liters of water a day. If you just did that one thing, that is going to make a heck of a difference.
There you go. 5 liters. Yeah. Kylie, tell me some truths. Like, what's a truth about burnout or high performance that no one told you until you lived it?
Yeah. So burnout is, waking up and you just want to just keep hitting that snooze button because you're just so freaking exhausted that you can't even get out of bed. And then in the morning, going straight for a coffee that's got plenty of sugar in it or syrup or whatever you add. And, you can't even function until the third coffee. And you're just in this complete, it's almost like this haze, this state of overwhelm. And, you're stressed because, you have to change something, but it's like you've just got no energy or capacity. And then, as a mum, you got the kids and you got the dogs and, just looking at the kitchen, looking at the dishes piling up and the laundry and all the stuff that you got to do for your business. And it's just like, you just can't even function and, you just want to run away and hide. And when you're in that space, it's so hard. It's like a downward spiral because how do you actually pull yourself out of that when you're already burnt out? And the biggest thing, I think, like anything, is the awareness that you are in that burnout, that you are feeling that way. And it's like you just have no energy for anything. Everything feels hard and it just feels like the whole world is just closing in on you. And so when you're in that burnout, the first thing is to actually create awareness that you are in that space. And the second thing is you have to love yourself and put yourself first. And, when I had on my gyms, I used to have this acronym, this training that I created, and it was called Love You. And you being an acronym for love yourself, others, and the universe. And so
I love
often, and so often we want to, make a difference to the world and we give love to, our partners and our kids and family and friends. And then, we're getting the dregs at the end. So the only way that you can shift out of burnout is you have to love you. You have to love yourself first. And it starts with the awareness and then making a decision. And I look at it, when you're in burnout, it's like you're in this big dark hole. And so the first thing you have to do is stop digging. So what are all the things? What are your digging tools? So you got to ditch the poisons, stop all the things that are actually contributing, making sure that you get rest, unplug, get off social media, stop doing the things that are contributing to that burnout and then start looking to where do you want to be and visualizing, whether that be in your business, your health, relationships, your wardrobe, whatever that looks like, because whatever you focus on expands. So you need to then focus on, okay, well, what do I want? And for me, I'm not where I want to be yet, but one of my mantras, my daily declarations that I say in front of the mirror is I'm a happy, healthy, sexy, strong 68 kilo size 10. Now I've said that just a couple of times in my life, but that's my
that just rolled off the tongue. You had that down.
I know, right? I'm a happy, healthy, sexy, strong, 68 kilo size 10. I've got a whole bunch of those declarations. And so you got to visualize on what you want. And then you have to look at, well, what are my climbing tools? So now what am I actually going to shift? And you don't have to do, like I remember doing 75 hard. I made 47 days. I was devastated I didn't finish it. It was on a stupid technicality. I fell asleep as I was reading my book, and I had like 300 mils of water left to hit my water for the day. So I had to disqualify myself. I was so upset.
Close. Did you at that point in time drop the ball and stop it, or did you just say, stuff it, I'm going to keep going the next day?
Yeah, I did. No, because I was so mad at myself because I didn't complete it. I stopped. So if you're in that hole of burnout, you don't have to do, look, I'm an all or nothing kind of a girl, so I kind of like doing that style, but you don't have to do that style. Just each day, just change one thing. And that's why in that 10X reset that I created, it's like, just give yourself 10 minutes a day to do something. Just make a little change every single day. And, just like compound interest, if you keep making those little incremental changes and loving yourself, listening to your body, getting enough rest, ditching the poisons, drinking more water, literally everything can shift. And look, my health coach said to me, if you want to drop weight, you can do it. The fast way is raw food. The faster way is to do completely plant-based. The fastest way is a water fast. And a water fast is just an incredible way to reset everything. And so if someone's burnt out, and I know that that is extreme because, we're programmed. If you don't eat, you're going to die. And the amount of people I had reaching out on social media, oh my goodness, you haven't eaten? Like, is that even healthy? Like, oh my goodness, it's so dangerous. And like, people just freak out because it's, it's a bit out of the box, right? But you feel so freaking good, and it allows you to reset everything from the inside out. And so I would suggest if someone's in burnout, like highly, 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 even if you just start with one day, do one water fast day, and then next month do 2 days, next month do 3 days. So for me now, I water fast every Sunday. Sunday is my solar power Sunday. So are you ready for this? I hope you're sitting down, Kev. So I get solar powered. I get my gear off. I sunbathe naked so I can get all the vitamin D from the sunshine, and I water fast for the day. I unplug from social media and I just rest. And honestly,
wow, that's like a super recharge. Yeah.
It's my magical goddess superpower day. Solar charge by the sun and water, allowing my body to do its thing from the inside out. And I got to tell you, don't judge it until you try it. It's freaking amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
It's
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
You didn't expect
I'm not speechless, but let's just say I'm taking a pause.
In a treehouse in the middle of the bush.
I know. My mind actually went to, do the neighbors have drones? Like, yeah. Do they know this? Will they know? Okay. All right. Moving right along. All right. We're coming towards the end. And, before I ask you for, actual advice to the audience, that's tangible advice that the audience can use, I want to ask you something regarding the emotional journey. What part of your the weight journey felt the heaviest emotionally?
So those 2 points where I'd hit those, the heaviest. So the first time on Zach's birthday, when it was his 9th birthday, when I'd hit that heaviest point of 123 kilos, like getting dressed and being puffed out, just, getting dressed and putting my shoes on. Emotionally, that was massive. And, like, I'm going to be really vulnerable and like real and raw with this.
Yeah,
and
please.
I really want every person on the planet needs to hear this, but I think this is a message that's so important for women is when you feel like that, you don't love yourself. And so therefore you have no intimacy with your partner. And then what happens? They end up leaving. It ends up in divorce. And so that is, I think one of the biggest contributing factors, and especially, with women going through menopause and, all of the change, you've got all of these factors working against you. So emotionally, you have no capacity because you're so stressed and stuck in your head. And so then when you go to bed, the last thing that you want is intimacy. It's like, don't fucking touch me. Yeah. And then like you don't have that connection with your partner. So then they start drifting away. And, in my case, my husband left me for another woman, which was devastating. He was my rock, my best friend, who I thought was my soulmate, who I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life. And, when I talked about those 5 key questions, when I asked, well, what can I be responsible for? Well, I had to look at my part in that. And it was because of, what I did with my weight. And what happens is it's a downward spiral. So then when you're in that space, when emotions go up, intelligence goes down, you don't make smart choices. So every time something happens, and let's face it, like life is like brutal. There's so many things that come at you every single day. Do you react or respond? And, of course, my reaction was, oh, fuck, I need a glass of wine. Shit, it's 11 a.m. It's probably too early for a glass of wine. Like, what can I eat? Give me the sugar, looking for that hit, because it's then becomes emotional eating. And, of course, what does that do? Again, you're in this downward spiral, which impacts freaking everything. So, yeah. And then the second thing when I turned 50, like, looking at what I could wear for all of those events to still try and, look my best, feeling like shit and knowing that I'm not my best self. And, I was a girl guide. I made a promise to do my best and help other people. And here am I, like, I don't have the capacity to be the best version of me. And so, here I was at my 50th looking around, just feeling completely miserable, just thinking, this isn't the life that I didn't sign up for.
Yeah.
And so that has a massive impact.
So powerful, Kylie. Thank you for sharing, mate. Now, I want to leave the audience with some tangible tips based on what's worked for you. And you have this thing called the 10X reset. Would that be the go-to? Would that be the thing that you say, hey, start here?
Oh, absolutely, because it's simple. Okay. We have to, like, it's baby steps is where you need to start. And so the 10X reset is literally how to reboot your body, your brain, and your business in 10 days. But even if you're not a business owner, it doesn't matter. You're still going to get some tips from that. But, really, I use that whole analogy. It's identifying that you're not living your best life. You're not where you want to be. And the first thing is just actually getting into your heart, like getting soul conscious clarity of what does your heart really want? Because you might be where you are because you're in a relationship that doesn't serve you. Maybe you're in a job that's, destroying your soul. So it's actually number one is getting soul conscious clarity on what do you really want? And then, fueling your body like a CEO, like nourishing your body, whatever, we are what we eat. Let food be your medicine. And so looking at, again, you don't have to be plant-based, but just making some changes. Hydration is key. Like, oh my goodness, like just water. If you just did one thing, just drink more freaking water, is massive. Move your magical body, exercise is key, but it doesn't have to be going to the gym or going for a walk. It could be having great sex with your partner. It could just be put on a song and dance. Like, it can be whatever movement works for you that makes you feel good, because that's the happy drug. We literally say, the dopamine, like it's the feel good. It's the best drug you can have on the planet is when you actually exercise. And rest is so freaking important. So look, that's the first 5 rituals in the 10 rituals inside of the 10X reset.
Where can people go to get that, Kylie? What's the, can you read out the link? Or
I certainly can. So if you go to 10xpreneurs.au/10X reset. So 10Xpreneurs, PRENEUS.au/10X reset.
Love it. Thank you so much for being guest 001 on 100 pounds to freedom, 55 kgs overweight, and you've shredded more than half of that, and you're still on a journey to scale down. Amazing. You're an absolute champion. Yeah.
Thank you. Right back at you. And I just really acknowledge you for, bringing this podcast to life. As we shared before we went live, there are so many experts out there, personal trainers, health coaches, weight loss coaches, but if you're on this journey, your story, please, have the courage, be vulnerable. Like, vulnerability is the greatest form of courage, and share your journey. I shared my whole journey when I did my fasting and my resets on social media. And, the ripple effect of that had so many other people start on their own journeys and try water fasting for the first time. And, one, you've got that public accountability, which will help keep you on track. But when you're inspiring others on the journey, that inspires you to keep going as well. So, if you're on the journey, reach out, like, just send me a message, say hi, and let me know where you're at, what your results are, what your struggles are. And, the world needs more of these conversations. So thank you for putting this together. You're amazing.
Yeah, great stuff. I appreciate that. And as Kylie said, reach out to her, jump on the 10X protocol and dive into that. If you have any questions, you'd be able to contact Kylie directly through that link. And it's been a blast. It's been amazing. Cheering you on for the rest of your journey, your Sunday sessions.
You'll be thinking of me on a Sunday now going, oh my gosh.
I'm worried about the neighbors.
My neighbors are
with the drones.
lynx monitors, bush turkeys, snakes.
Yeah. Google mapping could be a problem as well. And what about Elon Musk? So we'll wrap it up there. And sending you much love, Kylie. Thanks for being on 100 Pounds to Freedom.
Thanks for
You're a
having
champion.
me.
Thanks for listening, my friend. If you want to find our YouTube channel or info on how you can drop the weight and rebuild your life, or maybe you'd like to be a guest on the show, head on over to 100poundstofreedom.com. That's the digits 100poundstofreedom.com. And we'll see you over there.